week.
Yeah, totally. Get prepped up for the weekend. Should be a good time. Quiet barn burner last night.
Last night was low key crazy in the sports world. There was college football, there was NFL, NBA, obviously. Yeah, that was a. I mean, the biggest takeaway from that entire game was the DeAndre Hopkins catch that didn't count. Like that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was nuts. that was really crazy, man. He's pretty good. Uh,
He's not bad. How much? What the hell was his name? Jordan Thomas.
yeah, I had like 15% Jordan Thomas. It was nice. I had, my big stand kind of was Will Fuller captain. He catches the 73-yard bomb. It's like, oh, this is great. He's really outperforming Hopkins. Like Watson is really only getting it done, to him and to Thomas. I had some lineups with Will Fuller captain, with Jordan Thomas. Even some of those had Kenyon Drake in it. Good stuff. Then he tears his ACL. It's just like that's
Wah. Yeah,
it's my
poor
season.
Will Fuller. Not a good not a good one, especially for a guy like that. That's bad news in all forms.
Nope. You see, our buddy Druby continues his just.
This guy's an animal. I mean, congratulations, just the showdown fire. Continue, keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I DM'd him like, all right, this is bullshit.
yeah, I saw him. Scout was up there. Good guy. Um, yeah, I mean, it obviously there was some scoring. Devontae Parker was, he was good, effective. It just the game got a little out of control there. There were points aplenty, and that's why at least if there were kickers in that one, I would have had to retire from Showdown.
Yeah, and those guys that won, it was like 6 people last night, including a couple of our friends. But they were really. I mean, what Druby is really good at making correlations, and like those lineups told stories. So there was like a specific way the game could work, and it went that way. So it's as much as we like to say Showdown is a lotto, which to some extent it is. Like you put yourself in a good position by doing smart stuff like that. So it's not an
That's
accident.
that's true in Showdown, of course, and it's true in DFS in general. Like
Oh yeah,
you can't control you need the lucky breaks. Just put yourself in the position to get lucky as often as possible, because eventually you will get lucky.
yeah,
Um,
happens even
or
to fish like us.
yeah, I was just say. Um, anyway, but I'm more excited for this main slate. 10 gamer, and don't worry. Before the 10 gamer, if you for some reason want to play more Showdown, we do have that London game. So don't forget that. Though I'm sure there will be Showdown. With that, we'll be talking that in Slack and whatnot. But we do have a 10-game main slate.
Yeah, good way to like start. Just be building lineups while tilting your face off. Like,
Yep.
it's
Yeah. Last week it was just like Tyrell Williams to the house immediately, and it's always fun to be sweating while you're tilting while you're building.
yeah, it's wild on the West Coast, man. Like it's weird what that NFL is on so early anyway. Like I'm pretty used to it now. I like it because I'm up obviously because this is my job. Like I'm up significantly before 10 a.m. anyway. Which I was a bartender for a long time, so I was not used to. I was generally not an early riser, and when games start at 1 or 7 on the East Coast, like you get away with that. You can still play some DFS on your days off. Here it's wacky. Like those games start at 6:30 in the morning. Like the
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm a morning person, but I don't know if I could do 9 a.m. college football every week.
I
That
don't.
would be kind of weird.
I actually was having a lot of fun. 'Cause over at Fantasy Insiders, where I used to hang out, that's where Lofty and Dan are from. That's how I met those guys. Kind of how I got my in. They had a lot of EPL guys, like a lot of soccer dudes, and they were really good at it. And I was having fun playing that. Something to do on Saturday morning. I got out here and it's like, all right, those games start at it's 7 a.m. here.
That's a
Like,
tough sell.
I'm not doing that. Don't think so. All right, so let's get into it. I think we are going to do, just so people know for the future, I think what we're going to try to do, again, we're going to see what happens today, but the plan is we've got Three Fellas is going to be more Showdown oriented Thursday night. You and Lofty on Sundays do a game by game breakdown. So
Yep.
we're going to try to do a bit more of a position by position kind of deal here. because both of us are like pretty big GPP players, like it's gonna end up jumping around a little bit because when you're talking about a specific quarterback, you got to kind of talk about his wide receivers and all that too. So it's not going to be perfectly position by position, but we're going to try to focus it more that way, just so that we have sort of proper segments. You know what I mean?
For sure. And if you got questions, chat, drop them in. We will get to them, no doubt about it.
It's Norman Jean, 1 wins. Is that
Norman Jean? Have you seen the stats before we get into football?
I saw he's got like 8 strokes around the green.
Yeah, that's the most of like 5 years, I believe, up there.
That's
I'm sure that won't regress at all. But good for the Panda, making a cut.
Mm-hmm.
Progress.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay, so let's get into it. I guess start with quarterback.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Well, we say every week that it is flat. And it's true again today in terms of the pricing. Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to start right there. I get Mahomes, of course. Quarterback is the deepest position. It's hard. You could recommend 15 guys, and I could see it. But I'll take, for my top guy, Aaron Rodgers. Perfect matchup. Going to be trailing, 6,400. I don't really know if I have to break him down much.
Stealing my takes again.
Really? You like A-Rod?
Yeah, I mean, the whole joke I made last night was whether we needed to discuss the over-under on 475 yards passing. This is a nut spot for him, man. He's never, like, a big reason we have trouble playing Aaron Rodgers sometimes is because he's never in, like, he's one of those guys that can be so good that he kind of screws himself because he's just, 20 of 24 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they just like roll some team. That happens often. The Rams are going to put up points, a lot of points. The Packers are most likely going to be playing from behind. I've heard around a little bit that Rodgers has like never been this big of a dog in a game ever.
I could see that. I mean, and we saw, just to add to that point, we saw, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, they may have had a bye in there, the Packers, but against the Lions, that was perfect Aaron Rodgers in terms of DFS, and it actually wasn't his best showing. He was more inefficient, but for fantasy purposes, that's actually what you want.
Yeah. So he will have his wide receivers appear to be healthy again, and he is most likely going to have to throw the ball 45 times. So, yeah, I'm with you. I like Aaron Rodgers. I like him for cash. I like him for GPP. GPP, it's interesting, and we'll get into this when we talk wide receivers, but it is a little difficult to figure out where to go with that. The one cautionary tale here, because I have sort of been on the record, is that the Rams are sneakily not that good on defense because they're just missing, Talib and Peters are not Talib and Peters, and when they go from having 4 studs on the defense to 2, and Ndamukong Suh may be a little banged up this week too, that's trouble. The one thing, the problem with that, I think, for this game is that the reason the Packers are a very good pass blocking offensive line, and the reason for that, and generally the reason teams that are good pass blocking offensive lines are good, is because they have good tackles, and tackles' job is to keep a lot of space in between them and the edge guys. The edge guys have a much easier job. It's much easier for edge guys to get to the quarterback because they can just blaze by tackles. Bakhtiari and Bulaga are amazing at stopping that. Problem with the Rams, they are the one team in the league that doesn't generate their pressure that way. They get it on the inside, and it's really weird. Like, that's what makes Aaron Donald so good. Packers are not quite as good on the interior of the defensive line. So it's worth noting. That said, I still think Rodgers is going to end up dropping back 45 times. So, would you top that for me?
But... And, this is from a macro level. My one, you could say this with any position is, and it's not as big of cost as usual because in years past he would be 7,500, 8,000 in a situation like this. You're still, quarterback is one of the positions where you can get a little savings. I do like guys, as we go down, and, in our chat, Bagley just said, and he's right, with DK pricing really tight, where kind of can you focus? So depending on, as we go through it, I'm going to have to mix and match. If I take someone like Rodgers, probably not going to be able to take maybe some of the top guys at, say, like a tight end spot or something like that. So it's just going to depend on lineup construction. But I'm going to throw another guy out there, and this is, I doubt I'm stealing your take on this one. I like Cam a good amount.
Yeah.
It's a tough matchup. The Ravens are good. He's at home. Yeah, he's a little banged up, but I'm sure he's fine. The rushing upside with him is just so nice. It really adds to the floor. I honestly think he's in the discussion for cash, and I rarely say that.
Yeah, it's Cam and Ben that are popping in the optimals in my projections. So, and yeah, it's Cam because he's 5,800, Ben 6,100 against the talented but kind of shitty defense, led by Greg Williams. That I'm sure is a big part of the problem.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think Cam is a nice play. They have a weird, we talked about this last week with sort of how the Saints might attack them. That sort of Kamara, Christian McCaffrey type should be is a more like appropriate weapon to use against Baltimore. I worry about the deep ball. They take that away pretty well. They have good outside corners. But yeah, it's not a crazy pass rush, and like Cam has a lot of those are design runs. It's not like Russ Wilson or Rodgers where they kind of take off out of the pocket when they get into trouble. There are rushing plays for Cam Newton, including in the red zone. So yeah, I think that's a good play.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna say I like a team that takes away the deep ball with him, but I think no matter how Carolina attacks, it's going through him. I don't see any way that McCaffrey controls the game on the ground.
Yeah.
Olsen is back. That should bolster the weapons. And Cam, like you said, it seems like when he has tougher matchups, he's just more inclined to run. And that's really where you're getting your value anyway.
Yeah, totally. I do. Oh, never mind.
Not on the main slate?
Minnesota, New Orleans is not main slate. So
I see what's going on here.
Yep. Dalton 6,200 against the Bucs is really hard to argue with. I think that's a borderline cash play. And then one guy I would like to throw out there, dicey situation, but he's $4,800, and we have a sea change. We've got Byron Leftwich coming out of the woodwork talking about how they need to use Fitz and DJ more like Arians did. I think the situation change is usually a buy spot. Like I was saying, I watched that Broncos Cardinals game, and Rosen looked good. That was not really his fault. Like I think he could be all right. San Francisco's a bad defense. They don't have a pass rush, so it's a bad offensive line. But if there aren't guys to take advantage of that,
I'm not there. Not gonna lie, not there. But I am a Josh Rosen fan. I think the Cardinals will be more effective. My one concern with him is just for fantasy purposes how high that ceiling is. I could see him being efficient, serviceable, and they could win. But for me, and we'll talk obviously running backs, David Johnson, kind of another guy who's a candidate for the Byron Leftwich bump this week.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I don't like. I mean, I'm not in love with Rosen necessarily, but I think I think it's certainly more interesting than it has been. I think he'll be really low owned. It allows you to get up to some really expensive. There are some nice expensive plays elsewhere, so you can load up on studs at other positions if you take a super cheap Cardinal stack. Something I will take a few stabs on. Maybe have 5 out of 100 lineups kind of deal.
I think I'm echoing that statement with the Raiders.
Okay,
that's kind of my similar. You can stack the Raiders for nothing basically because they have no weapons, and I might do that. And then that's one of those things, and I know we're going position by position, but I do want to touch on the macro thing. If you hit a low in terms of salary stack, the other guys that you're picking are, you're basically able to pick whoever you want. You can take the Gurleys of the world, and that really is nice. Sometimes if you allocate a ton of salary for your stack, yeah, you get it right, and that's great. Then you have to get the 3 punts right as well, and that can be obviously certainly more difficult.
Yes, certainly. I'm again one more macro point before we move on, but like that Oakland Indianapolis game is pretty nice for both of them. I think stacks on either side of that because those defenses are both like super boring. Like the Raiders are just old and slow on defense, no pass rush. T.Y. Hilton just running down the field. That's going to be pretty wild. And then, Derek Carr isn't very good, but the Colts play just a really, really standard cover two. Try not to make big mistakes. You're going to get volume to people like Jordy Nelson. I'm with you. There are some pretty solid outs for the Raiders because they're free, and the Colts are not a defense that's going to really take much away from you. Except for like the big plays, and Carr can't make those.
Yep. No, I'm with you. All right. You want to move to running back?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This is the spot where I'm more inclined to spend up. It's not just that I like the top end guys; it's I like a lot of them. So it's hard to imagine not all of them failing. So I kind of this is where I'm going to make my certainly spend my cap where I can. I like Mixon a ton. He's the guy that stands out for me. I tried to go there against Kansas City. It did not work. This is the spot. He's at home. The Bucs defense is terrible. Quan Alexander's not terrible. He was one of their only good players. He's out for the year now. I really like this spot for Mixon. I don't see many fails.
Yeah, it's Mixon and Connor, as usual, are like by far the best values like in this sort of mid-tier, because they're 73, 7,500. Just really nice price tags for big workload and teams that should score a lot. So,
what do you think about Kareem Hunt right there?
It's fine. Kansas City is not really a mauling offensive line, and that's really where it was big offensive lines that ran all over them. The Cardinals couldn't do anything. That said, Von Miller popped up on the injury report today. He's now questionable with an ankle. He is a good run stopper as well, even though he's on the smaller side. That could be potentially an issue, but yeah, I like Kareem. I mean, I think Kareem Hunt is totally viable too. He's a little bit cheaper than those guys, I think.
Yeah, he's 71. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of guys, obviously starts with Gurley. I get it. I'm doing the same thing that I did last week. I will play him in cash. I don't see any reason not to. Tournaments, I will play him in tournaments as well, but I'm not. If he's 40%, 30%, there's a 100% chance I'm underweight. I'll take the savings.
I may not play him in cash. I mean, as of right now, I don't think I'm going. I just found it much more comfortable to build without him. Because I guess like last week, there weren't really a ton of other options. It was a weird slate. So it was like Gurley, and then you were dropping down significantly. And then Chubb opened it up so you could get him easily in cash. But, Connor and Mixon, I think I'd probably rather play Connor and Mixon than like Gurley and Isaiah Crowell or something like that.
Yeah, Crowell, actually was just mentioned in the chat. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get a big workload, and I get the price. I'm not that interested, to be honest. He's kind of like a fringe cash play. Don't see a ton of upside, and I'm
zero floor for him.
There's a super low floor, and I think it's a really big probability that this is a get-right spot for the Bears defense at home. I could see them really laying a beatdown. If that happens, as crazy as it sounds, and again, this is a guy I'm not looking to go to because I didn't know he existed, but the guy who's taking Powell's spot, Cannon, I could see him getting some garbage, receptions, and those add up a lot faster than the carries for Crowell.
Yeah, because if they get smashed, which I think there's a real chance of that happening, let's not forget this is like a rookie offensive lineman against a really good defense. Mac's obviously not been playing very well, but
this is a tough spot for the Jets, though.
It's a brutal spot.
And
so there's a real chance of Isaiah Crowell having one of his patented 10-carry, 22-yard games, and that is not going to get it done.
It's true. I am right with you. Really low on my Jets this week.
Because they stink.
Yeah, they're not good at football, and that's usually a problem.
Question from the chat. Highest owned between Gurley, Mixon, and Connor. I think it's still going to be Gurley. I think people will jam him in. I think you can avoid it in tournaments, especially this week. There's more high upside guys. He's going to get, he's projecting for 27, 28 points.
Yeah.
At 10K, though, if he scores 32 and Mixon and Connor score 25, you'd rather have Mixon and Connor, so.
No doubt. Yeah, I have not built my cash lineup. So the only thing that will prevent me from getting to Gurley is if it's really hard to do it. I thought I'd be able to get there. I still think I will, to be honest. But I'm with you in tournaments. you have a laundry list of guys that are a couple $1,000s cheaper. I'm going to throw David Johnson in there. He's 6,700. You just talked about new offense coordinator. That should help. Um, I have him behind the guys, the Connors, the Mixons of the world, but so will ownership. So gonna have to weigh that as it is.
Yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, unless you're playing multiple Jordy Nelson types at wide receiver. If you're playing Gurley and Cash is the problem. I mean, you could get to Chubb again, I guess, but we'll get the Chubb. I think is fine. I'm a little scared about him. I think similar argument to Isaiah Crowell. Pittsburgh's a worse defense, but Chubb doesn't catch passes, so he could get into a lot of trouble.
I have almost no interest in Chubb this weekend in any format. I'm more apt to play Duke Johnson. I'm much more. The other reason I don't like Chubb is anytime I would play him, I'm way higher on Jordan Howard. We just talked about, I think that the Bears control that game from start to finish, and that's the kind of guy who could have a quiet good game where he has 16 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. I don't think Tariq Cohen's going to be seeing a ton of passing volume because if the Bears are wildly ahead.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Chubb is the guy that, like, if they do score rushing touchdowns, it's most likely going to be him. So,
oh, no doubt. And yeah, he could have had 2. He could have had another one last week, and he runs hard. It's nothing against him. It's just there's a huge difference between where he was priced last week and where he's priced this week. It's not. There's a lot more danger, and we saw how close he was to busting last time.
Yeah. It's. I mean, with someone like that, in the same argument for Corral, those dirt cheap running backs that only really carry the ball, they need to get into the end zone, and if they don't, you're screwed. I also will say, I mean, the Steelers are my favorite defense of the week, so we're gonna get to that later, but.
Okay.
Yeah. Other ones, Adrian Peterson. I mean, the Giants traded Snacks Harrison.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I'm just
Eli Apple that's a gain for them to be rid of him. He's been a net negative for a long time.
Play man down. Honestly, I'm just so apt to try to take multiple top end running backs this week. I'm creating a huge vacuum in the mid range. I may punt if I'm really in trouble with a cannon. With one other guy I want to bring up, Jalen Richard. I wouldn't mind pairing him with Carr and being really against the grain. Him and Doug Martin are the only guys left there. So
you're advocating the $60,000 cap this weekend, it sounds like? Would help you on DraftKings?
I mean, you just calling a favor at old DK. Yeah, no, I mean, you can – maybe I'm wrong. You don't – I didn't think pricing was that tight this week.
I think it's all right. I mean, you can't play like Gurley and Mixon and Connor.
Well, no, Gurley. You could to me, you could play like Mixon and Hunt and David Johnson all together in a lineup, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting a fourth running back, that could be tricky.
That's going to be again calling in favors. We'll see what happens there. I think that's about it for me for running back. Anyone else?
Real quick. Do you have a thought on the Raiders run? I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you compare Richard with it's Richard, Jordy, Tavis, and Derek Carr, two of the three. I mean, Cook is sort of in play too.
Tavis, man.
Say what?
Tavis. Well, I mean, we're going to wide receiver right now, even though we usually start at the top.
Let's start with the true top, Martavis Bryant, most talented wide receiver in the league. God, he sucks.
One of the many DeAndre Hopkins, Clemson super team. Anyway, he's in play. I know, talk about a low floor. Yeah, but you could pair him up with the rest of those bozos for nothing, and a couple receptions for him means 110 and a touchdown.
Yeah, the Colts do. That is what they it's a very soft cover 2 zone kind of thing. You got 2 safeties back. It is a little harder to get those bombs because he's not going to be left alone in single coverage very often. If he's running deep, there's going to be some help there. It's still Martavis Bryant. He's taller and can outjump anyone. I don't even know. I couldn't even name you all the guys in that Colts secondary, but he can certainly jump over any of them because he can jump over anybody. Has a ridiculous vert. really long arms. Like he's 6'4",
He's still terrible,
and he
but
runs a 4.35 or something like that. Yeah, I don't understand why he's so bad.
win factor in Kansas City, we just don't know yet. Keep an eye on the weather. I'm not gonna, like most weeks, I will not overreact to the weather unless it's something serious Sunday. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is where I'm going to probably spend down because, as you just know, I requested the 60K cap.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're gonna get that. We'll see. You do run sun running
I
again.
went for the year, man. So it's dare I say, Jermaine Curse.
You just did.
I know. The Jets once again have no wide receivers. Somebody is going to have to catch passes, even in as I said, I think they're going to get beat down. But man, the ownership, unlike last week where he was very popular and he rewarded everyone with a 0, the ownership this week is not going to be what it was. And being completely serious, I don't even know who they would run out there.
Didn't they just sign somebody?
They signed, I think it's Rashard Matthews.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he's in the player pool, though. Is it Rashard Matthews? Where is that bozo? I'm pretty sure it's him.
It is. Yep, he's listed as their wide receiver 2 on Roto World.
Okay, there you
Head
go.
of Jermaine Curse.
Well, then who's their 1?
Robbie, dude.
He's not
Probably
playing.
not playing.
So, yeah, this is just a situation where
Sharon
I
Peak.
I think he's another Clemson guy, ironically. There's going to be some value in the Jets wide receiving core. It's, again, a lot of risk, but I don't mind paying down there to open up some space. God, that feels bad to say, but
that's egregious. Whatever. Yeah, someone there is gonna have to do it. So I don't hate the idea of taking some shots. And you're right. Everyone is gonna be pissed about it because they got the curse last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissed about it too. So
good question in chat from Jack. I like that. Best 8 players under 50K for the Millie. I would answer you, but I have 60K, so don't really have to worry about that. Sorry, brah.
Yeah.
That is. Anyway.
That's the idea, though. Each and every week when I set out to make my lineups, I try to come up with the best 8-person combo to beat
everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's smart. All right, let's see here.
Can we talk about some real players? Because we've so far spent 5 minutes on wide receiver, and it's been Martavis Bryant and the Jets.
Sad.
Golden Tate.
Yeah. You're buying again?
Absolutely.
Okay. What about Doug Baldwin on the other side?
Sure.
Ooh, God, I thought you were really going to be into that. I really like Golden Tate this week as well. I'm into the counterpart, Doug Baldwin. Besides the game you talked about, Raiders-Colts, and I know we're going position by position. This is another game, though, that I really like. Seahawks-Lions. I think that's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, I think so as well. Golden Tate, I can't get away from. Theo Riddick is likely out again. In the past, he has done very, very well in that situation. Your boy, Kerryon Johnson, is clearly doing something. But, yeah, the Seahawks defense is truly going to be bad now. Maybe not like bad, but like not good. They're down everybody. And they looked okay lately because last week they gave up 0 points because they didn't play. 2 weeks ago they went to London and Derek Carr neglected to come, so they gave up 3 points there. They hung with the Rams at home, whatever. That's nice, good for them. And then they beat up on Arizona, but those are bad. That they have not faced, other than the Rams, they have not faced much lately. So
yeah, no, we'll see what they're made of come Sunday. Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford is one of those guys that a few times a year, like, I don't know, man. I'm a closet Matthew Stafford.
You love Matthew Stafford. I get it too because he's super talented. He's another quarterback.
If you just took 5 plays from him every game and made like a mixtape out of it, he looks like the best quarterback ever to play. Like he does stuff that like other people just can't do, but he makes a lot of really boneheaded plays, and he's been around for 9 years doing this or whatever, so it's not going away. But Matthew Stafford is one of those guys that occasionally is just awesome. So
No, I'm with you. Couple things. So someone was asking in chat about Gurley handcuffing your lineups, to an extent, and I think it's a perfect segue to. I wish I had an order for these two. It's a toss up, but when I don't play Gurley in my lineups, I certainly will bump up Cooks or Robert Woods. They're both great. Somebody from the Rams is getting it done. I don't see many ways the Rams fail as a whole.
Oh, 100%. I think the Rams are going to score, 35 again. I just think there's a real chance that if Gurley scores, 27 to 31 points, you can get away from that in tournaments. I've felt more comfortable with some, playing more of the 7K running backs in cash, but listen, I am not here to say that don't play Todd Gurley in cash. That is I do not want that to be on my tombstone.
Yeah.
He's a great play. And, who knows? We got 2 more days of news to break. So if something opens up, absolutely. Like, I would love to play him. I just, as of right now, I am finding lineups I like better without him. And I really like Woods and Cooks.
Well, yeah, I like Woods and Cooks. And I will say this just at a general, we'll have to see what happens. But if the more news that opens up that allows you to get Gurley, the more interest I'll have in cash and the less I'll have in tournaments for what it's worth.
Yes.
I think that's I'm with you with Woods and Cook. The guy I wanted to bring up, and then, if anyone else, is another one of your boys, Mike Evans.
Ooh.
God, I just feel like this could be, hopefully. I mean, I'm going to run some, Bengals lineups back with him. Hasn't been working, but man, it feels like a pretty good spot.
Yeah. Oh, man.
No, I don't know. I mean, he has not played like he's priced in a while now.
Yeah, I, truth be told, have not really played him this year. I played him a ton last year. But this year, he kind of came out of nowhere. He had the rough matchup, we thought, at the time in week 1. Went nuke, got a huge price bump, and I just haven't been there since. And it hasn't really hurt me.
Not at all.
Plenty of other things have hurt me, but it hasn't been Mike Evans. Mike Evans hurt me a lot last year because he scored, 15 points every game because Jameis would sail 3 of his easy targets over his, 5 yards over his head. Much more interested in the other side of the ball. I love AJ Green this week. Like, I would like to play AJ Green in cash.
And Mixon?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting.
Do you have a real problem with that? Like,
no, not really. I just in cash, even there, you don't think you should put Dalton in there?
I mean, maybe. That's more of a like. I mean, I'm more inclined to do that in head-to-heads and triple ups and stuff like that.
Okay. I don't mind that at all. I think if I did that, I would probably have Dalton with them just because Mixon is an asset in the passing game, and there's a real chance that him and Green both get there, and then if they do, Dalton's certainly not hurting you in cash.
Yeah. It's just I just think it's viable. Again, I'm not like putting out my whole cash team here. I'm saying the pool of people I am interested in includes both Mixon and AJ Green. I probably wouldn't end up with both of them in a cash team, but I think that both are cash viable. I think AJ Green's just kind of the best wide receiver play this week.
Interesting. Ooh, I'm kind of into Odell. $500 cheaper. Think people are going to look to Saquon. Not a ton because Gurley's up there, but Odell's ceiling is still gigantic. He's an easy guy to stay away from in cash, but he's going to see the targets. They're at home. I wouldn't be surprised for him to put up another big game. And it's 7,500. I'm not saying it's cheap, but he could easily be 8,500 here, and I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I like Juju quite a bit right there.
I feel like you always get him right. Is that off base?
Yeah, I've had a good relationship with.
Yeah, I never heard that guy.
Schuster. He's a very high variance guy, so he can be a little shady for cash. Kind of.
We got Mortal Locks in the chat.
I'm pretty sure that's deadlift, Jack, because he's.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, cool. I was pretty sure before, and then the the trolling of the Millie lineup was a pretty strong indicator. And then the kid is like a gambling addict lately. He's just all about the tees and lines left and right. I'm like,
teasers. We are
sweating Sanderson Farms so hard.
Baylor last night. That I tried to tease that. I should have teased it 60 points. That would have got me over the hump.
We were talking a couple like last week, late night, and he got me onto the Nevada Wolfpack, like in Hawaii, and they steamrolled him. It's like he's on fire. Made some money.
All right, we got a couple more, and then we got to get a little college in here too. Tight end. If you can afford it, yeah, go get Kelsey. That would be nice. Oh, sorry.
I think to wrap up wide receivers, I think one thing that's going to be a potential tournament winning thing is getting the Packers right, because I don't think they pop as like amazing values, but some of them are going to do something. Adams is expensive, like I think sort of point per dollar. You know, Juju, Odell, AJ Green, even Tony Brown's in a good spot. Like that guy does good stuff. But they are, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw more than he has in years, and that bodes well for some group of Packers, which, check this out, which segues into tight end.
Jimmy Graham, baby.
Senor James Graham. I think he's got the easier matchup. That's the weak spot in the Rams, is across the middle of the field. Their linebackers are horrible. Their edge rushers are not good, so he's not. They've got the Packers, like Jimmy Graham is not a good blocker anyway, but the Packers have really good tackles, and the Rams don't have good edge rushers, so he's not going to have to help out at all and can just get out there and run routes against like Mark Barron and shit like that. So that's in theory a very easy matchup for him.
Yeah, we saw Jared Cook in week 1 kind of exploit that. I like Jimmy Graham a lot. Tight end, this is the spot. It's going to be certainly appealing to save as much as you can here. But if you have the money, you can get up to one of top end options. If not, Jimmy Graham. Don't mind taking a stab with like Uzuma, in cash-esque. Not super in love with it. Other than that, I don't see
with Mixon. Are we running Bengals onslaughts in cash now?
Five Bengals, but no Dalton. Be bold. No. It's I don't know. I don't see a ton of super cheap tight ends.
Josh Rosen and 4 Bengals. Don't do that.
No, don't do that. Do you have anyone? I mean, I keep tight end pretty simple. I mix and match, and if I have a team where I have a ton of salary, I'll go for the premier option, which is Travis Kelce Island this week.
Yeah, I would like to play Kelsey. That's another one. I don't know. I'm not finding as much like crazy value as you are, I guess. Like the idea of Kelsey. Like the idea of Kittle. Like the idea of Cook. Cook and Ebron are both, that's sort of how you attack those sorts of defenses. They will give up those sort of intermediate routes. But, yeah, don't hate Uzoma. And then, will you talk me off of Jordan Reed?
Well, the easiest way to talk you off to Jordan Reed is I play him every week, and Alex Smith only has like 100 yards passing, and 26 of it is to Jordan Reed. I think one of these weeks he's going to have a big game, but I prefer Jimmy Graham. Honestly, I prefer Greg Olsen, who we found the end zone last week. Wasn't that involved. I thought he would have a bigger role, and I think he's going to have a bigger role going forward. Is that bad?
I'm not really there, but whatever. Maybe I'll get there. What do you think of Njoku? Helped us out last week.
He's popular every week, and he kind of just gets it done. I have no problem with him going back to him again. The targets are there. Looks, big guy, red zone target. Brown should be behind. No problem.
Yep. He wasn't popular 2 weeks ago, which was 3 weeks ago was his breakout game, and then he still didn't pick up that much steam against the Chargers. And then last week he was the mega chalk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's in play.
My apartment here, so
what?
No respect. Nothing. The people blowing leaves outside the apartment, causing a ruckus with Njoku. I don't think they're on board this week.
No, apparently not. So,
apparently not.
Got Steelers fans waving their terrible towels all over here.
the virus,
all over
man.
your patio. All right, let's do defense. Wrap it up.
Defense, another weird position because you got Bears Island. Uh, I really do like the Bears here. It's just going to be a matter of can I pay that price tag? I don't know if I'll be able to. You mentioned the
What about
Steelers
with
before.
Todd Gurley and Antonio Brown and the Bears and Travis Kelce?
Sprint Fest. Yeah, there we go. And then you'll have $400 for the other 6 positions. It could be a problem.
This looks like a Sharon peak week.
Yeah, yeah. Don't hate on my Jets up and comers here. Yeah, 2,300 for the Steelers. Not too shabby. I get that. I'm gonna throw a defense that's kind of, I think, out there. I like the Chiefs defense in terms of DPs. At home in Arrowhead, Broncos are dust. Obviously, Keenum's terrible. I think they get pressured, force some turnovers. 2,600 shouldn't be too popular either.
The Chiefs? Oh, okay.
Chiefs are gonna be popular?
No,
Oh,
nor should they be. I mean, they're
okay.
bad defense, man.
I know, but at home, they're one of the few teams I actually think that them being at home helps. I don't know. I think they could cause the Broncos some problems. They should be comfortably ahead, and I do see a scenario where Kareem Hunt and the Chiefs defense mitigates, Hill, Mahomes, Kelce somewhat.
Yeah, we haven't really even mentioned the Chiefs offense, and they're whatever.
Amateur hour.
28 points or something like that. I do think the Rams are the premier spot. It will be fun to see if maybe the Chiefs get a little bit, under the radar. If all of a sudden we're looking at, low ownership, Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. What?
I said, well, then that's even for me. I will have to allocate some exposure because the upside is through the roof every single week.
Absolutely. Ruka trying to rile up the chat. Appreciate that. Graham is overrated. Yeah, of course he is. He always has been. But he catches touchdowns, and he's got the best quarterback who's ever lived throwing him the ball. And there's some opportunity. The Rams are bad over the middle of the field. So totally
all of that's kind of true. Yeah, Jimmy Graham does let me down a lot. Red zone targets, just targets in general. In a game script, you couldn't be set up better. It's hard not to buy this week.
Did you know he played basketball?
I've read that once or twice.
Yeah. Patriots defense, I think, is fairly interesting just because the Bills really stink.
Not on the slate, but I get what you're saying.
Just kidding, then. Different slate.
True, though. I wouldn't mind playing them in Showdown.
Yeah.
Which we will be on Monday night talking that point.
Oh, I forgot that was Monday. How did the Bills get a Monday night game? Gross.
Well, they thought it was going to be Josh Allen. Hello.
So what? The Bills were always going to be bad this year.
The future against the past, like the guy, the next man up to take Brady's mantle.
It's the present right now, bud. The present.
Well, Josh Allen's hurt. He would be the present. I know what you're saying, though.
Asshole. Steelers defense. This is a spot. The Steelers are not a good defense. Baker Mayfield. This is the. I mean, we were trying this against. Well, never mind. Baker Mayfield is the kind of guy who can get confused by the gimmicky. Like the Steelers blitz a lot. They do cause pressure. They leave holes open down the field because they cause pressure somewhat recklessly. They're not causing pressure because their personnel is good. They're causing pressure because they're sending 5 or 6 guys at the quarterback. It's not like the way the Rams cause pressure, the way the Seahawks used to, where you just rush 4 and can still get there because your personnel is really good. Pittsburgh sends extra guys often, and that leads to them getting eviscerated by the Patriots, a couple times every year. Because you can't do that against Tom Brady. I think you can probably get away with that against someone like Baker Mayfield. He's been making some mistakes. He's caused some sacks by himself. He's walked into a few. I think overall he's played pretty well, but weird zones coming out. Yeah, he holds the ball. He might make some. Those weird zones. Often you're not sure if you aren't an expert on the NFL. You know where everyone's gonna be yet. And sometimes you just might not see a guy that's right there, and those are some pick six opportunities, and they're 2,300 at home. So I really like the Steelers this week.
Yeah, no, I get that. And Baker is the kind of guy, he makes some spectacular plays and he makes some stupid plays. You'll live with that when you're taking a defense. You'd rather have that than a conservative guy like Alex Smith-esque who doesn't really do anything.
Right. And you put in an aggressive quarterback that makes stupid plays with an aggressive defense that makes stupid plays. It's like,
yeah,
match made.
There we go. So I think that's what we got. Not bad.
Yeah,
it's actually a pretty cool slate. I'm excited to build and see how intricate it'll be, with the girly questions and whatnot.
Yeah, especially with 60K. That's gonna be sick, dude.
Woo.
There's some college games tomorrow. You wanna?
There is, yeah. I know Jack in chat was asking for some college tonight. I'll be in Slack talking about that. If you can, give us a like here. We do appreciate the video upticks. But we got a college slate tomorrow. 10 games, I think. Yeah, something like that. It's got a nice mix. There's some real tough, grinded out SEC games, and then there's a couple big boy shootouts. I'll just jump right into it. South Florida and Houston is going to be up and down. Totals, I don't have it in front of me. I'd imagine it's north of like 70 though, which is saying something. I probably get it up if.
I'm working on it.
Okay, so yeah, it's definitely going to be a high one. Houston's a good team. They're going to move the ball, and USF also pretty high octane offense. In terms of the plays, I'll start just Derek King is. He's north of 10,000 now, and it's for good reason. He's just an absolute monster. Can run, can throw. Not a lot of weaknesses, and South Florida's defense isn't exactly a juggernaut by any stretch. So if you have the salary there, basically your only question is it him or Kyler Murray? I don't know if there's a right answer there. They're two of the best on the slate. It's just tricky to when you play them, you're probably going to pair them with Hollywood Brown, your boy, or Stevenson on Houston, and then you have your top end stack. But as we talked about with the NFL, that creates where you have to punt a couple other spots.
Yeah, this game's got a 75 over under.
75, yeah, it's a good one. Definitely one you want to target.
Yeah, for sure. Is Wake Louisville on this main slate?
Is Wake Louisville? I don't think so. No, I didn't see it before. The other game, Arizona State and USC. Those are two kind of teams that I haven't seen much of on the main slate. They're Pac out west teams from Pac-12. So those are new guys to kind of target. We can go. So Arizona State, N'Keal Harry's. They're big. He's going to be a pro, high pick. I think he's a little overpriced, to be honest. He's 8,100 at USC. Not the best spot. I'd rather go to the other side and take a guy who's going to be amazing freshman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who his brother is on the Packers. We learned more about him than we probably ever thought we would because of all the injuries. He's a pretty damn good player. He's only 5,200. We're going to have to check the status, though. USC's quarterback is banged up, so we'll have to monitor that as we get closer to lock.
Fair enough. Who is USC's quarterback this year?
The USC's quarterback? Mm-hmm. So they started a true freshman, JT Daniels. He's got a concussion right now, so we'll see. It'll be just a matter of who that backup is if he can't go. I don't think Arizona State's defense is anything I'm too concerned about.
Fair enough. So I think the thing we end up struggling with most often in college football is we need some value running backs. If you're trying to get some, because you want access to the high-powered offenses. Unfortunately, in college football, you don't have those. There aren't the $4,300 pass-catching third down backs. So, got any avenues to attack that?
Yeah. It's getting tougher. Pricing is efficient. You can look to Missouri as a team that I think is kind of wide open in terms of production. You could look to Crockett. He's 4,800. I don't think there's that much upside, to be honest, but you can get by with 10 to 12 from one of those punts there. It's not ideal, but you just want someone who's going to have some value, maybe some touchdown equity. TCU is a team I do want to talk about real quick. They have a super easy matchup. They're playing Kansas. They have an all-world player, or I should say had, in Kevontae Turpin. Super speedster, returns punts, returns kicks, gadget player. He got thrown off the team last week after hanging a big number on Oklahoma. He had he had a kickoff return for a touchdown. He had 5 for 62 and another touchdown through the air. That's going to create a big vacuum. Someone's going to have to pick up that production. Obviously, Rieger's their big receiver, but I wouldn't be stunned to see that running back get a little bolstered, whether it's Darius Anderson or Onalau, because, they should be in control of this game. And like I said, one of their biggest weapon, he is now off the team. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's not great. What do you do?
I think it was domestic violence, something not good for sure. So who knows about that? But he's certainly not playing tomorrow, and that's a pretty good spot to attack against the team that's, Kansas. Even though they're better this year, they're still terrible.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to one more team that caught my eye immediately, and it's a good game to target. Texas Tech, Iowa State. Iowa State is on fire. They smoked West Virginia, and they found through injuries and whatnot, they've been going through quarterbacks like there's no tomorrow. But now they've settled. Brock Purdy, freshman, really, really good against West Virginia. He's mobile. He can move. That's why he's mobile. Not the best analysis there, but it's only 7,000. He's at home against Texas Tech, who's, maybe their defense is a little better this year. It's still Texas Tech, and I think we all know them for the quarterbacks that throw like 80 passes a game. There's still a lot of that there.
Indeed. That's fair enough. Any other sort of things you want to wrap up college football with?
Yeah, so the last thing...
Your boys are playing this week.
And who would that be?
Your sweatshirt, man.
Oh, UMass?
Yeah, playing Connecticut.
They're not on. They're playing Connecticut. Connecticut might be the worst team in the country. UMass might be able to win. What's the line on that? Do you have it?
Yeah, it's UMass by 5.
Woo! Favorite.
That's not on the main slate, is it?
Is that tonight?
I don't know. No, it's tomorrow at noon.
Oh, no, it's certainly not on the main slate. So, go Minutemen. Yeah. I do want to bring up...
Have there been NFL players from UMass? I mean, we've got Marcus Camby, obviously, as the most famous athlete.
Kidding me? The disrespect. Victor Cruz, a salsa man.
Oh, yeah. Was he drafted?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you sure?
I think he was, but I could be wrong on that part.
He might have been like a 7th rounder or something.
Oh, yeah. No, not high. But Marcel Shipp, remember him? The running back?
Yeah, vaguely.
He went to UMass.
Cool.
There's some guys. Anyway. I'm not trying to pull out a hot take. I should have pulled out hot takes last week because Purdue ended up smoking Ohio State. Wasn't on the main slate. Clemson goes into Florida State, who's had a horrible year. That's a game I think you can attack. Even though Clemson's defense is phenomenal, they made a statement against NC State last week. Just mutilated them, but that was in Death Valley. If you want some cheapies, I think you can look to Florida State's weapons on the outside. They're dirt cheap. Ton of risk, but I think they have a little success against Clemson. I'm not saying they win that game, but nobody's going to go to them at all. Deep GPP play, you can look to a burner like Terry on the outside. Only needs a couple passes, and even though I think Florida State plays well, I do think they'll eventually fall behind, and game script should be there for a guy that's going to be very lightly owned.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think anyone will be on him because that's a 17-point spread, 50 over under. So Florida State, is that like 17 points?
Yeah. Yeah, like 34-17.
Yep.
And that's, again, is that possible? Of course, but even if that's right, someone's going to have to score those 17 points. And running on Clemson is brutal. I like Cam Akers in life, but Clemson has the best front in the country. There's no doubt about it.
Someone told me that there's 4 first-round picks on their defensive line.
Yeah, that guy is pretty sharp, whoever that was. Ed Oliver's on the slate, your boy.
Oh,
So
cool. Is that the Houston guy that you love?
yeah, he will be causing some problems for South Florida. Yeah, I mean, as always, same thing. We got to see for injuries. Got to see what's going on with guys getting benched, guys playing. It's that kind of year. I'll be in Slack. If you have questions, or on Twitter, you can hit me up. I'll be around, but I'm playing for sure.
Like it. Got any hockey takes tonight?
No. I did see though that the Red Wings are so bad this year that they had to change their Arby's promotion because it used to be if a guy got a hat trick, you would get free curly fries.
Okay.
But they're so bad, it's just now if the team scores 3 goals, you get free curly fries.
Wow.
So they've fallen on hard times at Joe Louis Arena. It's sad.
That is pretty wild because I mean the Red Wings were like I don't know.
Red Wings Avalanche, like I grew up as like the rivalry.
Yeah, but even before that, like when the Avalanche were still in Quebec, you know, I'm older than you, so I vaguely remember. That's when I cared about hockey too. But
Awesome.
the Red Wings were awesome back then too. I mean, they were just amazing for 30 years. It feels like. So it is strange to see them not good. But we have a lot of hockey content on awesemo.com.
It's true. Awesome guys. A lot of really sharp hockey minds here. Michael Sign, I might be butchering your last name. I'm sorry. Victor Cruz was undrafted. That's unfortunate. Damn it. But he did go to UMass. That part is true. Sigh. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, college football is awesome. I really hope that more states or find a way around like where they can get it back in some of the bigger states to grow the pools because it's such a fun DFS sport. It's kind of like the NFL on steroids. Like you can get crazy big scoring.
Oh, it's like the NFL on steroids.
Which they were already on steroids, so now it's like double. And you can play 2 quarterbacks. That's also fun.
Yep. Do you have to play a catcher?
No catcher.
Not on fantasy draft.
That's right. Boom. All first baseman. Yeah. What are your Bo Sox going to do tonight? JD Martinez sitting or what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm holding out hope. It's probably not going to happen. I may have just asked, but I was not able to go. I was DK had a bunch of tickets apparently for the championship series. I got offered a few times, couldn't make it. Have not been invited to tonight's game.
Now you're at the back of the list.
Yeah, I would. Real talk. I've never been to a World Series game, and I grew up a huge Red Sox fan. I've lost my fandom in general quite a bit as I've gotten older, and as my income is based on gambling on the outcome of sports games. It makes you less of a fan. But it would be pretty cool to go see the Dodgers and Red Sox, 2 storied franchises. So, DK,
sure.
VIP team, if you're listening. Jordan, what's up?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, tonight you got I think, like, you could play baseball showdown, NCAA football, NBA, NHL, probably some other stuff. It's a busy time, which is why you should come check out the site. Even if it's just for a trial, stop on in for a week, see what's what. You can read my articles, Andrew's projections, all that stuff. Obviously, we have all the content, the videos as well.
Yes, indeed. All kinds of good stuff. We got videos. Most of the videos, or all the videos, are free content. We would ask that if you enjoy them, come check out some of our other stuff behind the paywall, because that is really where you're going to get the, we talk, we give out a lot of good information, but really having the tools so that you can go through and make your own decisions. And that's what's...
You don't want to listen to me.
That's the goal. That's the goal of all of this. We'll give you guidance. We'll show you where to go, but you should go to awesemo.com.
That's where we've led the masses. Yeah. So you want to be able to make those own decisions. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And Slack is just great. Like I said, for a sport like college football, I love talking it. It's just really hard, even a day out, to make firm things, because all it takes, there's always late. Oh, this guy, for some reason, he's not dressed. And it's like 11:30. It's like, well, that changes things. Or, well, like last night, West Virginia, 2 running backs who hadn't played are back, in the rotation. That changed things really late. Now, that slate last night, 5-gamer, so that's 10 quarterbacks. I think only 2 of the starters finished those games. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
There you go. Crazy stuff.
It's wild stuff. It would be wild and crazy if you would give us a like if you're watching this on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. What?
Another stupid thing from last night. I thought you may appreciate this. Maybe you won't care. Georgia Tech, your boys, they played last night. 0 yards passing, and they smoked Virginia Tech.
That's
full on. Yeah, no passes.
That's pretty cool, man.
That triple option is dangerous game.
Yeah, that's what they do. Go Bulldogs.
Close, but no.
Bumblebees. Go Bumblebees.
There we go. Sort of.
On that note, thanks everyone for listening. Like us if you can. And catch Ben on Sunday. And then he and I will be back on Monday to lament this glorious weekend.
Some Showdown.
Yeah. All right, take it easy, everyone. Oh, I have to stop this now, too.
It's true. It's never going to end unless you stop it, which I like.
Okay.